Hey guys, Pedz here. This is the 5th GRcade Twitchcast, and it's just me and Doom today, as you can see. So say hi, Doom.
Hello. How's everyone doing?
I'm assuming they're all doing well. Anywho,
Yes.
today we the plan today, because it's just me and Doom, I thought it would be fun to ask Doom some questions about himself. They're not going to be anything too invasive, just basically a bit of background on his gaming history. So I've got 20 odd questions to ask. Some Doom can answer nice and quick, and some Doom can elaborate on if he wants to. At the end of the podcast, if we have time, then people can also ask questions to Doom. I thought, because it's just me and Doom, it'd be a good way to get sort of connect with the people who are behind the screen, so to speak. So shall we get started, Doom?
Yes. This is interesting. I'm looking forward to this.
The first question is, how big is your penis? No, it's not. The first question is actually, what is your first gaming memory?
Ooh. That's a good question. My first gaming memory would have been when I must have been about 4 or 5. My brother must have been about 3 or 4. That kind of, so back in 95, 96-ish basically, and my aunt bought us a Sega Mega Drive for Christmas, I think it was, shared between the two of us. My earliest memory would have been just remembering like me and my brother sitting there playing Sonic and Tails, which is Sonic 2, I think it is, isn't it?
Yes.
Sitting there playing Sonic and Tails, like, in front of you, old school TV and that, both of us sitting there kind of, he was always much better. My brother's autistic, and he's very, very good at platformers, like very good at platformers as a result of it. I've never been very good at platformers, but he's like, so I'd always play, and he'd get so frustrated at the fact that I just was not good at them. So he'd usually play as Sonic and just carry me, and I'd just end up like Tails just like following behind him, basically, stuff like that. So that's probably my earliest memory. Yeah.
Okay, well, my second question was going to be a second part of this question of what was your first console, so I will assume it's the Mega Drive?
Yes. First console is the Mega Drive. The first one I properly remember would have been, which one did I get first? I can't remember if I had my Game Boy Color first or my N64. That's the one I like properly remember, like where the beginning of most of my memories kind of started from.
Yeah, well, that makes sense. So I've got this question down. Back in the day, what game did you play that wowed you and made you think, this is the kind of entertainment that is the best to have, or that gaming in itself is quite unique?
Okay, the first time.
Yeah.
This has happened, is it? Pardon me. It was probably, again, depending on, I think it must have been the Game Boy that I had first. I'm always convinced of it. It was probably when, for Christmas, I had my Game Boy Color, which I asked for in red, and the Game Boy Color didn't come in red. It came in like a pinky, I can't remember the fuchsia. It's like a fuchsia color, and I got it, and I was so excited that I had a Game Boy Color. But obviously in my head I was expecting red because I asked for Pokemon Red with it, so I was expecting like a similar color all the way through.
Yeah.
Anyway, it was that point basically the first time I'd played my game. Switching on the Game Boy Color and getting Pokemon up and running for the very first time and kind of experiencing that world. And at the time, even now, I guess you can consider that it's a pretty big world. Even like just red, blue, and yellow, it's a considerably big world, bearing in mind the size of the console and its capabilities. I just remember kind of starting the journey and thinking, I've got this massive journey ahead of me, getting so excited over the idea of it. Do you know what I mean? And that's kind of when I first realized that this was something more than just watching TV or watching a film or reading a book, you know. So I hope that answers the question. Okay.
Yeah, no, that answers it fine. I have got down, have you mostly played single or multiplayer games? But that's a stupid question. And basically what I mean is do you play a lot of multiplayer games in comparison to single player? Which is your forte, so to speak?
Yeah.
Or your preference?
It's gone. Yeah, well, it's gone very, very back and forth over the last, since this console generation. So, at the moment, I would definitely say I'm having better or more fulfilling single player experiences. But you know, up until the first couple of years of this generation, I would definitely say multiplayer. I barely touched a single player game, but I'm kind of slowly moving away from multiplayer games. There's a couple I play, like Rocket League and stuff like that. But overall, my preference is definitely towards single player games now.
Okay. I was wondering, what are your thoughts on split screen local multiplayer? The fact that it's kind of dying, whereas online multiplayer is booming. Do you miss the local multiplayer shenanigans, or are you happy for that to die out and just crack on with playing online?
I don't have a preference. I think for me now, split screen play is more of a gimmick, just because it's not something that can be consistently done anymore. You know, with lives, lives, jobs, partners, and you know whatever else you've got going on. You can't, you can't just get your friends over and sit there and play when you want to play. It's nice when it does happen, but it's more of a gimmick now. It's an enjoyable gimmick, and it's one that I think I would always enjoy having the option of doing, especially like your Mario parties and that. They're perfect for it.
Yeah.
But it is kind of more of a gimmicky thing now. Just out of convenience, I think online is just more convenient. I've made a lot of friends through playing games online. A good chunk of them ended up coming to my wedding. And we've built a strong bond through playing those games online together and meeting up as a result, and all the stuff that kind of comes with that. So I like split screen, and if it wasn't the fact that everyone's got lives they've got to live, I would rather do that. But just out of sheer convenience, I think online is sadly, and for obvious reasons, has to be the way to go.
Yeah, that's fair enough.
I like Cricken's comments. He said he's a bit split on it. Is that meant to be a play on words?
Here's another question. This is going to be fun to see your answer. When you were younger, were you a fanboy of a particular company, or did you only care about the games themselves?
No.
Be honest now.
Yeah, no, I was Nintendo all the way. I know Sega was my first console, but as I said, the first lot of the proper memories started from the Game Boy Color and the N64. I got a GameCube over a 360, a Dreamcast, or a PS2. I ended up getting other consoles later, but the GameCube was that. I waited and got a Wii over a 360 or a PS3 at first, and then 360 came later. So yeah, early years, I was very much a Nintendo fanboy.
Okay. Next question. What about now? You a fanboy?
Not so much now. Although I think I'll always be very high on Nintendo. I just like what they do. I've always liked what they do. I think the fact that they're willing to offer something different compared to the other two, and innovate in a different way is great. Overall quality of games as well. Yeah, you know, I'd still, you know, if you sat me down and said you could only have you could only have for the rest of your life one manufacturer's console, I'd probably choose Nintendo over the others.
All right.
So not so much a fanboy, but I'm still kind of Nintendo camp, I guess.
Yeah. All right. Okay. Here's a question I want you to answer properly for everyone to hear. All right. I've been in your streams. I've been in the ones of your own streams and your GRcade streams, and you have said that you prefer Sonic to Mario. Why? Why?
It probably comes down to the fact that they were my earliest memories is playing Sonic. Mario, my first play of Mario was Mario 64, which at the time was incredibly impressive. Obviously that was a wow factor. I think it's undeniable. I think that for everybody, Mario 64 gave everyone the wow factor. But yeah, as I said, I'm not very good at platformers. I've never have been. But a platformer where I also kind of have I just feel like with Sonic I got a bit more to do with the character. I know like Mario you can like jump on heads and stuff, and you know that's fine, and backflip, but it just doesn't have the same appeal really. I thought Sonic even now I think Sonic looks cooler. I think he's just a cooler character, to be honest. I can't deny that Mario is the iconic character, but Sonic is definitely a cooler character, and that's just something that I've always kind of stuck with from my earliest years.
I suppose I'll lay you off. Maybe. Right, so we're going to move on to Pokemon.
Okay.
I'm not going to ask you loads of questions about Pokemon, but I am going to ask, which is your favourite game in the series?
In the series? Ooh, okay.
That doesn't just mean the proper mainline games, but also if you prefer a spin-off like Colosseum or Pokemon Snap, any game in the series.
Any game in the series. I'm trying to. You know what? I'd say my favorite games, or when you say games, would you take if I said like Red and Blue type thing, like because it's the same game, isn't it? Yeah. Okay. For me, it'd be Diamond and Pearl, the Generation 4.
Right.
That was my favorite. They were my favorite games. That was my favorite generation, I think. Yeah.
Why?
Generation 4 was that was the generation that got me back into Pokemon.
Okay.
I did Gen 1, loved it. Like I say, I had that wow factor. Turn on the system for the first time. Put Pokemon Red in, and I experienced that journey when I was 6, 7, whatever I was. As I said, no, I would have been older by then, 7 or whatever I was. And I did Pokemon Gold and Silver, and I love those games. Gen 3, I was kind of in high school. I think I was like year 7 or year 8, so I was about 13, 14. I was my age group wasn't playing Pokemon anymore. Pokemon cards was no longer cool, and
you succumbed to peer pressure.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah. I would also point out before I remember this very vividly. Sorry, I'm drifting, but it's still about Pokemon. I was having a conversation with a friend, like this was months before Pokemon Ruby and Sapphire were were announced. Like the names weren't announced. Nothing was announced about the games. Like nothing at all. And I remember having a conversation with my friend saying the next Pokemon games would be called Ruby and Sapphire. This was before they were like even thing. And then they came out, and even to this day, I remember just being like, they stole my idea. I know it. They must have heard what I said, because like 3 months later, whatever it was, they went, oh, by the way, the next games are going to be called. And I was like, oh, well, there you go, stealing my ideas. Sorry, that was just a. Anyway, fine. So yeah, Gen 3 wasn't. I was turned off by Pokemon again. Maybe by peer pressure, and then I bought a DS, and I was older back then. 15, 16. I must have been almost 16 when Gen 4 started, and I had a DS at the time, and I was actually I was in Cardiff town. I was I've seen a friend. I walked past game, and I noticed Pokemon was there, and it was Diamond and Pearl, and I was aware the games came out, but at this point, Pokemon had fallen back to the back of my mind. It wasn't really in the first thought, and I was kind of like, oh, I'm really fancying that. I bought it. I bought Pearl, and stuck it on the DS, and that was like, it was like reliving Red all over again. That wow factor. Do you know what I mean? It was like, oh my god, like what? Why did I leave?
Yeah, no, I can understand that, having a big gap from a game and coming back.
Yeah.
Because some new improved things, and everything improved, the sprites, some of the mechanics and everything can then really invigorate you back into the...
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's pretty much exactly what happened with me with this. It was that it brought the wow factor back, and I... Again, it was obviously graphically was so much nicer than what I remembered, and I found the story really engaging. The Pokemon, the design of all the Pokemon was amazing. I Piplup all the way, no arguments. Piplup all the way with Empoleon as a final evolution. When you first get Lucario, that's really awesome. When you get him as Railu, and do you know what I mean? It was just. Yeah. It's such an awesome game, and I'd say now, even now, that it's the best generation. Gen 4 is the best generation for games. That's what I'd say anyway. So it was the one that brought me back.
Yeah, no, that's fair enough. Here's a really serious question.
Okay.
Why is Charizard so much cooler and better than Blastoise?
Okay, he's not. That's why. he's not.
Yeah, he is.
I honestly, I think the ill-informed child in me went for Pokemon Red because it was the first one that came to mind when I was a kid, and I asked for it for Christmas. But then I played the game, and I chose Charmander for the very first time I played the game. I chose Charmander, and I got a certain way through the game, and I was like, I got the Chameleon, and then it was like, oh, it wasn't working for me. I don't know what wasn't working, so I ended up restarting my save, started the game again, and I chose Squirtle, and I was like, oh, hang on a minute. Something's clicked, yeah.
I know what it was. Is he got the Misty and couldn't beat her because he had a Charmander. Got the Brock and struggled as well.
It might be. No, you never know. You might be wrong. Might not be wrong there. Oh dear, pardon me. So, I get why Charizard is kind of considered the cool one, because he's a dragon. Everyone loves dragons.
I'm from Wales. Of course, I love dragons.
Yeah.
Charizard and Mareep are the best Pokemon.
I would agree with Mareep, definitely. I love Ampharos. Ampharos is the final evolution.
Yeah, but Ampharos doesn't look like a sheep, whereas Mareep does.
No, you're right there. What is Ampharos meant to be? Like a giraffe, electric giraffe?
I think it's like a deformed sheep.
Oh, dearie me. But yes.
Farfetch'd is cool as well because he uses a leak as a weapon.
Oh yeah, he used to bash people over the head. Yeah, but yeah. So no, Blastoise was cooler because he's got 2 massive cannons on his back, and he just looked cooler. And also, if you watch the anime, you've got the what were they called? The Squirtle Squad.
Yeah,
Squirtle Squad. Yeah, they were amazing. Where Charmander, I just found he was a bit whiny. He was a bit,
he was
bit whiny, bit moany.
Charmander was a bit of a whiny bitch, and then Charmeleon was like a proper teenager, and Charizard was just a dick.
Yeah, and then you just had Squirtle, who was just
cool.
He was just trying to be, he was cool. Wartortle, which I still think he's a really cool design for a mid-gen Pokemon, and then Blastoise, he just seems he's so cool. He just seems so cool, so relaxed. He's got 2 massive cannons on his back. He's like, yeah, I've got 2 cannons on my back. I could use them, but I ain't gonna. I'm just gonna chill out and be really cool. So I got that kind of vibe off Blastoise.
That's fair enough.
Oh dear.
Right, next question. Well, I say question. This is a long sentence compared to the other one. I know you like a lot of retro games. So, have you always had an interest in playing older games? Like, because you said you had a Mega Drive. Did that make you interested in playing older games you hadn't played? Or was it as you got older, you thought you'd heard of like, oh, Castlevania is good, Mega Man is good, and then you've gone back and played them, and it's piqued your interest in playing other retro games?
Yeah, that's pretty much the case with me. Early years, I've got memories of playing Sonic and all that, but my childhood with the Game Boy and everything was so dominated by, to be honest, it was so dominated by Pokemon in that period that kind of everything else went by the wayside. I wasn't actually bothered about buying other games at the time as a kid. I wasn't buying them. It was my parents and my grandparents and that who would buy them. Pardon me. So yeah, it was just a case of I was so enamored with that series that everything else kind of just fell by the wayside. So yeah, it was, as I got older, and it's only been the last couple of years. It's actually, again, I think in some way I could say it's this it's because of this generation of console that has made me want to go back and play older titles, and I've definitely appreciated them more as a result. Because overall I haven't been impressed by this generation at all, and it encouraged me to go and explore. I mean, I played a lot more games when the GameCube came out, and that, I had a lot more. I did play more games then, like as I got a bit older. But this generation has encouraged me to go back and play games that are actually complete. Like, you bought them on a disc, and they work out the box.
Yeah.
No updates, no nothing, no bullshit. It was just, they work out the box. There's no crap to them,
yeah.
And from there, my interest has grown then into a hobby.
Yeah,
I would definitely argue that it's now a hobby. So yeah.
Well, my next question was going to be: are you more into modern gaming or retro? But from what you've just said, you seem to be more of a retro head than a modern Muppet. I didn't know where to go with that one.
Modern Muppet. Yes, I don't know. It's tricky. Again, I play the Switch more than I do any other console at the moment.
Is that specifically because of the game, or is it because of convenience? Yes. Or both?
Both. Because when I'm doing night shifts in work, I can play Rocket League when I'm in work, or whatever other games I want to play. But admittedly, there are a lot of games on the Switch that aren't like AAA titles. A lot of them are indie titles. Stardew Valley is one of my highest played games in terms of time. Again, though, it's that retro style. So I'd say I'm I'm definitely playing more retro-styled games. You know, back to 16-bit style.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's kind of a blend of both, but I definitely get drawn towards a more retro aesthetic now, if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, it makes perfect sense. Following that question, is there any franchise that you've played any time in the past that's basically dead that you'd love to see come back?
Franchise.
Even if it's not to be fair, it could be there was one game and you'd like a follow-up. It doesn't have to be a full-on franchise, just any game or game series.
Yeah, it's a game that I'm playing now, and I desperately want a remaster on the Switch. Is Skies of Arcadia.
Okay.
I'm loving playing through it at the moment. It's got I don't know what it is. It's got a certain grip. It grips you in a certain way, different to. It's very JRPG in the combat and all the very traditional JRPG in that sense, but it's got a kind of Western influence on the rest of the game, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So it does seem to blend both styles of RPG very well, and it does seem to grips me. The voice acting is incredible, to say the least.
By incredible, the way you laughed, I'm not sure if it's incredible, genuine, or incredible is bad. It's enjoyable because of that.
It's so bad. It's good. That's that's where we are with that.
Yeah.
But yeah, after playing it now, I'm like, I fully intend on completing that game. Like, I only play it on streams. I don't play a little bit outside of streams. I'm streaming it because I want everyone else to kind of come with me on that journey. So I'd feel like I'd be cheating it if I was like doing bits outside the stream. So I enjoy coming to it for the few hours a week that I do play it, and I desperately want to see a HD remaster of that game like come to Switch.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay then, here you go. Here's another one for you. It's a similar kind of question. Any franchise you've played that's still coming out that you wish would die?
I don't think there's anything that I want to stop because I just won't buy them. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. But say one of your favorite companies, well, not favorite company, but say there's a company that makes a good game. Yeah. And then they either make that good game so much that it's become bad, or they focus on another game and prioritize that over the game that you like. Then would you prefer the game they prioritize died so you could have what you wanted?
Yeah. I'd probably say the last game I thought like that, it was probably the Battlefield series. Battlefield. Bad Company 2 was the first Battlefield game I played, and it was amazing.
Okay.
It's probably still the best one so far. Battlefield 3 was almost up there with it. It's incredible. Like that was just so fun. Like it just seemed to get, for me, it got everything right. Battlefield 4 was good, but no one played the new maps when they re-released a couple of the old ones for the Battlefield 3 maps. No one played any other map because the Battlefield 3 maps were so good. So Battlefield 4 was good because it was just Battlefield 3 updated graphics, but you just go and play those Battlefield 3 maps. And then from that point onwards, from 4 onwards, you could start seeing EA's influence on the game kind of increase. So Battlefield 3 was the last genuinely like amazing Battlefield game for me personally, and then from 4 onwards, EA have kind of went, oh, hang on, we've got something here. We need to we need to do something with this for ourselves. Do you know what I mean? So I'd rather and then obviously the car crash that was Battlefront 2 happened last year, or well 2017 now, isn't it?
Yeah. 2019.
And that
what?
it was yeah 2017 was when Battlefront 2 came out, and that was a car crash.
I completely missed what you said. I thought you said 2017 now, when I was like, no, it's 2019. Where you live?
Yeah, I've lost 2 years. Yeah. But yeah, and definitely from that, I played Battlefield 1 and it was good, but it wasn't. Even now, it still doesn't feel complete. It just there's something about it. Something's not right about it. It's just the way you navigate the menus as soon as you start the game up. It was like they never got it right from day one.
Yeah.
And they never fixed it properly, and that's where my interest died. And I refused to buy Battlefield 5 or V or whatever you want to call it, just because, one, I don't trust EA because they've had too much of an influence on the game. Battlefield Bad Company 2 and 3, I kind of just get the impression that they just let DICE do their thing and just went, go and make a good game.
Yeah.
And then EA kind of looked at all these other companies, Activision and that, doing their loot crates and doing all the other things with it, and they were like, oh, we've got a title, we've got a game series that's really popular that we could easily incorporate these into. Battlefield, the main competitor to Call of Duty, they're obviously going to try it, and they did, and it's, I can't do it because I'm scared that I'll buy the game, spend your money on buying the game, and as soon as you load it up, pardon me, you just know if there's something not right with the game, even down to the menus, and I'm just worried it'll spoil it all for me. So yeah, if a franchise was going to stop, I'd rather Battlefield just not happen now, so I can just think, you know what, Battlefield 3 was amazing, and just leave it there.
Yeah. Or
if they're going to keep making them, fine, but let DICE just get on with it, because I like DICE as a game developer. I think they know how to make, for me, the perfect first-person shooter. I personally think they're better than Sledgehammer, Infinity Ward, and the other one who makes. I think they're better at making first-person shooters, but obviously they're owned by EA, and there's always going to be that EA black cloud hovering over the game from now on. So, yeah, I can't do it anymore. I'd rather just not play another Battlefield game and go, you know what, I had so much fun on Bad Company 2 and 3,
Yeah. No, it's understandable.
So, yeah, I feel very strongly about that, hence why.
Next up is, what is your favourite franchise?
It's probably the Pokemon franchise. I can't deny it. It's the one that, if I was to add up all the time spent on playing a franchise, I would dread to think the amount of hours I've put into that game, into the franchise. So yeah, it's got to be Pokemon.
Okay. I asked you earlier, just now, just a second ago, which franchise you'd like to see die, but clearly that wasn't the franchise you hated the most. What is the franchise you hate the most? If you don't hate one, you could say least liked franchise that you've played.
Yeah.
Or seen.
Yeah. God. Problem is, I just avoid them. So I'm trying to think of the ones I avoid, because I just don't think about them. That's the thing. Call of Duty is normally one that I heavily avoid. Black Ops, the first Black Ops was the last good Call of Duty game, and that wasn't as good as Modern Warfare 2. So yeah, I don't think there's something I absolutely hate, but yeah, I'm not enamored at all with the Call of Duty franchise. Okay. I just think it's it's a waste of money, I think. You know, a game that comes out every year that they're charging a minimum of 60 quid for, and then if you want all the bells and whistles to go with it, you've got to buy the season pass and the whatever other additions. You're paying, you're paying about 100 quid a year for that game.
Yeah.
Unless it's the only game you play, literally the only game you play, I don't think it's worth it. You know.
Yeah, it's a lot of money. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just again, it's games like that has pushed me back to go and play older stuff, where I kind of feel like there's a lot more heart and soul put into those games. I'm probably wrong. I'm sure there's plenty of people putting plenty of heart and soul into these big AAA titles now, but I just feel like there's still more effort put into those older games. Even like I've played Red Dead 2. Honestly, nothing special. I don't care what anyone says. It's nothing special. It's they've done stuff because they can, but it just it's very sterile. I find it's a lot of as amazing as some of these games are, or as they're meant to be. The scope of the games, like the scope of Red Dead 2 is great. Graphically it's great and all this and that, but it still feels very sterile. Like the development behind it, there's something not there. I feel anyway. Where you go back and play, like say, Skies of Arcadia, it's the little things that kind of make it, like the stupidly so bad it's good voice acting, and the fact that you could tell that they absolutely wanted to make something better than what they've been able to produce, but this is the best they literally cannot do anymore to make this game as good as it. Do you know what I mean? Because they just didn't have the technology. Now the technology's there. I just don't feel like people are pushing it far enough. It's kind of well, we're doing this because we can, and we're just gonna sit in the pocket of comfort. Do you know what I mean? And not push to make these games so good that we almost break them as a result. They almost. Do you know what I mean? I don't know. It's a very pretentious way of just answering that question, but do you see what I mean?
Sorry. Yeah, I see what you said. Yeah. What's your favorite console
of all time, or of this generation?
Of all time.
GameCube.
GameCube. Surprising.
Yeah.
Would you like to elaborate just a little on that?
That was the console that I had choice over. I had that was the console I had like the most choice over. I asked for a Game Boy Color because that's all I saw in the ad. That's all the adverts. I remember watching the ads for the Game Boy Pocket like on TV, and I was like, "Oh, can I have one? Can I have one? Can I have one?" And they kept saying no and no and no, and then Christmas came along, and I had a Game Boy Color. I was like, "Oh my god!" The N64 was a present again, which very, very grateful for, and I loved playing it. But I didn't choose it. Do you know what I mean? The GameCube was the first one that somebody said to me, "It's your birthday coming up. You said you want a new console. Which one do you want? I've got full choice. What games do you want with it?" Do you know what I mean? It was like, and then the games, and the games I bought, like that was the console that grew up with me. So like it was 2001, I think the GameCube came out, off the top of my head, something like that. No, 2002.
I think it was 2000. Yeah, I was 18, so 2002.
2002. I was 11, and the GameCube actually came out. It's sort of like the 3rd of May, 10 days before my birthday.
I was 8. I'm not that old.
Yeah. It came out literally 10 days before my birthday, so it was pre-ordered. We picked it up, and then it was just a case of I couldn't play it until my birthday, but that was fine, But again, I was about, so that was the console that was with me when I started going into. I live in Barry now, but I used to live in Cardiff, and I didn't live too far away from town, the city centre. So that was the console that grew up with me. the first time I was allowed to go into Cardiff with friends on my own. So if I wanted a game, I could go in on my own. I could choose that game. I could. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That was a console that grew up with me, and that was the generation of consoles that kind of, I think, got 3D right. The N64 was the console. That was the generation that they experimented. But let's be fair, it was flawed.
Yeah.
But the GameCube era was where they got 3D right. In terms of like the way it looked, and it didn't look too janky, and from that point onwards, the 3D, like, apart from textures, the actual 3D effect hasn't got any better, unless we're not looking at VR for the mass market. Apart from adding textures onto the 3D models, there's nothing more like do you know what I mean? It's like from that point onwards, the improvements have had a significantly less of an impact on me. So you go back and play an N64 game, and you play Mario 64, and it's like, whoa, there is a big jump there. You go back and play Mario Sunshine, it's not that big of a jump from Odyssey. It's not really. If you compare the two together, it's not a massive jump. Where Mario 64 and Odyssey is a huge jump. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah.
It's the little improvements that came after. So that's why the GameCube anyway.
Okay. I've got what's your most hated console. That's a bit harsh. But what is your least liked console? Because you could have had all the consoles and enjoyed them all, so you never hated any, but you just didn't enjoy one as much as another.
What didn't I enjoy much? Actually, it's probably out of all of them, it's probably the Xbox One.
That's surprising.
Yeah. In the if I look at the grand scheme of things, I think really, I played Sega Mega Drive, loved it. Game Boy, loved it. N64, loved it. GameCube, really loved it. That was that's why I picked it. The Wii, loved it. Didn't understand it fully, but didn't hate it. I actually, overall, I just didn't understand it, and I didn't give it. Again, peer pressure came in, and the Xbox 360 was bought as a result of that because friends were on it, and
Yeah.
But I was invested in each console. I was invested in that generation. I wasn't looking into the past. I wasn't looking into the future. I was invested in what was going on there. This generation, I had a PS2, and from that point onwards, it was a great console. But I slipped into the Microsoft ecosystem because other friends were a part of that ecosystem from the 360 onwards.
Yeah.
But this is the first gen. This is the generation that's made me go, oh, you know what? Actually, let's go back a few years and let's go play some games that feel like they're complete and well made. Do you know what I mean? So actually, overall, I haven't owned a PS4, but I would probably class those two together. I know the games are different and there are other games and stuff, but I've never been a massive fan of the PlayStation setting with the games. They're exclusives. They haven't, like, they're great looking games, Horizon Zero Dawn and Spider-Man. They're great looking games, but it's a nice aesthetic, but they're not for me. They don't really do it for me, I'd probably say, I'd say it must be the Xbox One overall.
Grum just asked, did you have that mech thing with the mental controller? I know a game's on about, but I cannot think of what it's called. It had like a big fuck off thing, like 20 buttons on it and 18 analog sticks, joysticks.
Yeah, no. What system was that for? Was that for the GameCube? Was it?
I can't remember. I think it was like Mech Warrior, or I don't know exactly.
Yeah, no, I didn't have the crazy controller.
On Xbox. He's
talking about Rob.
Is there any console that you've played a fair bit of retro stuff now? Is there any consoles that you've played that you would like to have been able to play at the time of release and then experience it new?
SNES. I think if I go back, I think I'd like to own the SNES, and buy the games as they came out. I think that'd be a great experience. I'd like to I would also like to go back and revisit the Mega Drive from my current perspective, because as a kid, I was 4 or 5. I just played what I was given.
Yeah.
Which, from my memory, was Sonic and Tails.
And you being Tails.
Sonic. Yeah. Sonic 3, I think we had. That came off the Mega Drive, didn't it? I'm sure it did.
Yeah, Sonic 3 Knuckles.
Sonic and Knuckles in it, yeah. So we had that as well. Little Mermaid, which was a great game.
I'm not judging.
It was a great game. It was a great game. I just mainly watched my brother play it because it was another platformer, and he was so good at them that I could sit there and watch and enjoy watching him play. So in effect, he was the first ever streamer, I guess, from the 90s. So I'd sit there and as I'd be his audience, and he'd play the game, and I'd enjoy it because he was so good at them. But yeah, so I'd like to go back now and revisit the Mega Drive. Like, if I could go back at this age and kind of experience it then. So yeah, okay. That and the SNES.
Right. A little bit more of a tricky question. What are your thoughts on indie games versus AAA games? And do you miss the mid-range games that we don't seem to get anymore?
For me, indie games are fulfilling, like what I've talked about earlier, with the fact that I'm going back playing older games because I feel like there's more heart and soul. But again, they absolutely pushed their own abilities as well as the technical abilities of the technology. I get the same impression, like indie games fall under that bracket for me. Mm-hmm. So I love indie games for that reason. I feel like there's just a lot. I'm probably wrong, and if I am, great. But I just get that impression that there's just indie games just have more effort put into them. Maybe because the teams are smaller, so they have to work harder to produce the game that they want, and so they literally have to push their abilities to the absolute limit to get what they want. Otherwise, no one will buy their game. They've got to work so much harder for it, and I think for that reason, you do get better games out of it. Look at games like, I haven't played it yet, but I do have it to play, like Celeste. Stardew Valley is incredible. I can't think of other off the top of my head.
No, it's fine. My mind goes blank sometimes when I ask questions. Like, it's like, don't put me on the spot.
Yeah.
What's your child's date of birth? I remember that. Sorry, going on a little tangent. I remember I was in the library getting my library card. What's his date of birth? I was like, oh my god, I can't remember it.
It's like, uh-oh. Yeah.
Steel Battalion was that mech game that had the oversized controller.
Steel Battalion.
Right. Okay. What was the reason that you yourself decided to stream?
Looked like fun. It's always something I've always loved the idea of doing YouTube, but if you compare the two, there's so much more time, effort, and money that has to go into YouTube over streaming. Streaming is a bit more real in terms of, like, you literally watch people watch, like, you can watch people watch you, if you know what I mean, because they're you can see them in the comments section, you can see how many viewers you've got, like, you know these people are watching you, and okay, the numbers aren't very big, and that's fine, but like, I mean, if you look at time, effort, and money, it's so much cheaper and so much more time effective to stream. And I think, I see you get the same results. I'm not talking financial, because obviously there's a lot of money made from YouTube. There's a lot of money made from Twitch, I guess, as well. But you yield very similar results in terms of, if you get a lot, like, put it this way, since streaming, I get an average of probably between 4 and 10 people join my streams. I probably would be. I'd be lucky to get about, and that's like happening in the moment.
Yeah.
I'd be very lucky to get 3 viewers who would stick around for an entire video on YouTube. If I get found on YouTube, where I was playing Stardew a couple of weeks ago. I was playing Stardew Valley on my my Twitch account, and I had like 3 random Americans who didn't know each other. They were just total random. Pop in within 10 minutes, because they found me because they just searched for Stardew Valley. If I put a Stardew Valley video up on YouTube, what's the chances I'm getting noticed on that? 0. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, and then, like you said, though, the difference there is people chatting live and people like leaving a comment. You're not gonna get that instant feedback to then carry on a conversation, so to speak.
Yeah, and I think as well is it deters not all, as we know, as you know, and Jazza knows very well, it doesn't deter it doesn't deter trolls, and it doesn't deter controversial views, as like I said, you and Jazza know very well in my stream.
Don't bring me up in that. That was not my fault.
No, it wasn't. I know. I totally back you up on what you said. So it's not void of it, but I think overall, I think there's probably considerably less negativity and trolling and in streaming than there is in YouTube, because people will react live. The guy who's streaming or the person who's streaming can react live to your comment.
Yeah.
Other people will react live to it. Where YouTube, some sweaty little troll can go onto your video, not watch it, put a nasty comment, and just leave instantly, and just know that they're going to leave some kind of path of destruction in their wake. Where it's not quite the same, is it? Because as soon as you've typed something, other people are typing things instantly, and do you know what I mean? It's like, I think it does discourage that kind of behavior. Obviously, it's still going to be there, but and the beauty of it is, if you do get that, right-click their name, block them, and they're blocked from all future videos. It's you. Yeah, do you know what I mean? So that's why streaming, I guess.
I was going to ask, has watching other streams had any positive impact on you as a person in any way, shape, or form?
It was watching. This is a gushy moment now, I guess. It was watching you stream and Jasm stream, which encouraged me to take it up. Just because it was nice. Just watching.
I'm going to edit out the Jasm bit.
He's not in the chat either, so you're fine. Yeah, and to be fair, actually, it was Cricken as well. I watched Cricken a couple of times, I think. Again, it was just watching. It was watching and just kind of seeing the interaction you guys were having with some of the other GRcade members, and I was just like, oh, this is. It's I didn't really think about streaming before then, but I thought, oh, this looks good fun, Yeah, so I guess I've got. So as a person, I don't think I've kind of come across a stream that's changed me as a person, but you two have inspired me to take this up. So, well, you 3 actually have inspired me to take it up, and other people then as a result, people who regularly tune in. Grum regularly tunes in to my streams, and as he is now, he's very active, and it's a collaborative effort as to why I'm here doing what I'm doing.
Yeah, well, Graham, I think have watched like 500 hours of my streams. He's just, and the thing is, I don't stream as much in the evenings now as I used to, and he's still, if I'm on, he's there. Like it's like, I don't know, he's great. We love you, Graham. Has you yourself streaming had any improvements of any aspect of yourself?
Maybe it's a bit too early to tell because I can't think of anything off the top of my head.
Could it have built your confidence, getting like streaming? Like, talking to random people you've just met on the internet?
No,
I've just been carefree and stuff, you know.
Yeah. I've been, you know, I've always liked performing in some way. I was in a band for the last 5 years. Well, yeah, 5 odd years. I was in a band, and you know, we played all over the UK to crowds, to all sorts of crowds, and you know, I love it. I enjoy the performance side of it. So, but yeah, no, I think it's just from a technical perspective, I think it's definitely helped me understand how everything works a bit more, and yeah, I don't know. It's encouraging. That's what it is. It encourages me to do more of it, I guess. If you see what I mean.
Please tell me your metal band was Doomed Cutlery.
Sadly, it was not. No.
God damn it. Besides games,
I just saw Grum. I just saw Grum there in the chat asking what the band name. The band name was called The Eighth Bridge. So.
Is that like a play on Seven Bridge?
Everyone asks that. No, honestly, it's a random name. We were in a practice room jamming out, kind of just writing songs, and you know, it was kind of like early stages of the band, and we were like, well, we've got to have a name. if we're going to do anything. And we're throwing a few ideas around. I can't remember a few off the top of my head. Shrapnel was one, I think, and there was a few other ones. And I said, you know, taking the credit, it was me. I came up with the idea for the name. I said, oh, it'd be good if we have a name that makes somebody go, what's this about? You know, make somebody maybe want to see what we're about, rather than if you call yourself like. For instance, there's a band called Dying Fetus. If you call yourself that, people are going to have a very good idea what type of music you are. You know, well, they're probably a death, you know, real heavy, super heavy metal type stuff. Where if you call yourself something a little bit different, nothing crazy, but just a little bit off, then they're not going to be able to judge you, and they're going to give you a chance. You know, if they don't have a chance to judge you without listening to you, then you may just gain a fan from that. And that's kind of where I just kind of went, oh, what about the Eighth Bridge? And everyone was like, yeah, works. And it just stuck.
That's fair enough.
Yeah.
Right. So, what are your interests other than games?
I enjoy cooking. I like. I cook when I fancy it. I cook as much as I can from scratch. Funny enough, only today I was thinking about starting a recipe sharing thread on GRcade, just to help inspire other people who maybe wants to have a go at doing something, but maybe think, oh, it's too difficult to try this and that. You know, so there's like I was thinking about doing a recipe share, and then questions could be asked, and you know, maybe it can help enlighten some people who want to give something a go and are not quite sure on how to do it.
I think there is a food thread in Off Topic. Well, Stuff. Sorry, Off Topic is not what it's called anymore. In Stuff, maybe have a look at that.
Yeah.
And see what people say in there, because I think they talk about things like that in there. I don't go in there because, you know, I don't want to think about food all the time.
Yeah.
So maybe worth looking at that and let's see.
Yeah, I'll have a look. But yeah, there's that, and I haven't done it so much recently with the new year and that, but I'm starting to get back into it now. Is I enjoy running.
Yeah, I thought that might come up because
Yeah, I'm not very good and I'm not very fast, but that's coming with improvements as I do it. My distance has definitely become so much better over the last 6 months, or whenever I started. 6 months ago, I think I started running, and first time I was 150 yards and I was puffing and panting, and I'm not a small guy either, so that's the reason why I took it up. And then within a few months I was doing about 10 to 12k. Didn't take me long to kind of build that up, and you know, I've had a bit of time off because of Christmas and New Year's and going on little holidays and stuff. So getting back on it now. Done I think I'd done nearly 5K the other day. So kind of building myself back up, and I've kind of set a little goal for myself. By the end of the year, I want to be able to do a half marathon. So that's kind of my goal, which is about 20K overall. 22K is about that. If you look at kilometers, that's kind of what it equates at.
Yeah.
So that's the kind of goal for the end of the year. So emulating your hero Sonic. That's what Cricken just put.
Right, we've got 5 more questions.
Okay.
The next 4 are very, very short questions. What is your favourite film?
Zombievers.
I have never heard of it.
It's amazing. If you do the film cast thing that you do, I'll join and we'll do Zombievers. It's amazing.
Hey, I'm up for that whenever, man.
Yeah.
What is your favourite album?
Oh shit. Oh crap. Probably. What influenced me the most? It's probably "Kill 'Em All" by Metallica, their first album.
Yeah, that's surprising. I can understand it being one of the top 4, but it's not the one I hear one of the first 4. Sorry, but it's not the one I hear most common. It's usually "Ride," "Master," and "Justice."
Yeah, people don't give "Kill 'Em All" enough time. That's the problem with it. People don't give it enough time.
I didn't want to spend too long on these, but I really like "Kill 'Em All."
Yeah.
Bar one thing.
Yeah.
I don't like James Hetfield's voice as much as
it's
his
very
later albums.
whiny.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's my
very
problem
nasally.
with the album. So, what is your favourite band?
Ooh. Probably. It's not Metallica. I know that much for a fact. They're like top 5, but they're not top.
Would have been if they'd stopped at the 4th album.
Yeah. To be honest, if they'd stopped, I'd be saying differently. That's a really tough one. I literally cannot think of it off the top of my head. I'll get back to you on that one.
Okay. Last of the favourite questions. Favourite TV show?
Ooh, Supernatural.
Oh, that's a surprising one. I really like that, and then I stopped watching it.
We've got the box set, series 1 to 13, so we've been binging it. Well, I say binging it. We have spells of binging it, and then we don't go for like a month, and then we binge it a bit more. So.
Okay. Right. Last question from me now.
Okay. This will probably be this will have to be the last question as well, because I got to shoot as well. So.
Okay.
But if anybody wants to ask more questions, join one of my streams and I'll answer anything then.
Okay. Right. So far these questions have been pretty superficial. It was mainly just so the listeners can get to know a bit about you, so the audience can connect with you in a better level. So my last question, superficial again, is with the cost of game making and the fact that game companies are seemingly caring more about shareholders than fans, and targets aren't getting met as much as those companies like, do you think there is a possible chance of another game crash, though this time one that will affect more of the world and not just America? If you do you think this will pave the way for indie developers to break out and reinvigorate some of the tired games and franchises we've become so used to?
Yes and yes. I think it's happening now. I think that it's not going to be a massive crash like America kind of claim that kind of happened over there. You know, they make this big thing about it. It's not. I think it's going to be a more of a slow takeover rather than a big crash and then a rebuild as a result. I think it's and I think we're seeing it now. I think there's more people are spending more money than ever on indie games, and overall I think people are taking money. You know, they're not spending. They'd rather go out and buy 3 or 4 really good indie games than spend and pay the same money for those 3 or 4 total than buy one AAA game that has got massive day one updates is still broken after them, loot crates and all the other crap that comes with it. So yeah, I think there's a slow takeover that's happening, and I think indie developers will gradually have more and more power as a result. I think it will get to the point where the indie developers will as a cumulative, no, I go as a group when they all group together and stand up, they will be able to intimidate the AAA developers, if you want to call them that, and force, and they will actually become worried as a result, I think.
Yeah.
They will be able to compete in that sense. So yeah.
Okay. There is one or two more. Have we got time for like one or two little short questions?
Yeah.
From the viewers. As you can see, Graham has asked, caramel or normal Freddo?
Caramel.
Okay. Any other questions, guys? We've got enough for like one or two more before Doom has to leave.
Yep.
Be quick.
Self-assessed pirate rank. Oh dear me. If we're looking at if we take it as are we looking at like Sea of Thieves or are we like handheld or console? Handheld. Trying to keep up now.
Right,
Ocarina or Majora? Ocarina.
Jasm saying your pirate rank in for Skies of Arcadia. Your self-assessed pirate rank for Skies of Arcadia.
At the moment, I don't think I have one because I've been listening to Cricken a lot. But then every so often I'll put my own decision in, and so it mixes things up. So I haven't actually checked. I'll have to check, and I'll have to let everyone know.
Okay, well, one more question. That's it. Next question, make it a good one. Don't ask him his penis size, I've already asked that. Oh, which was a joke. No. Okay then. Unless they didn't.
I think everyone's happy.
Yeah. Well, we shall call it an end here as Doom has to leave for personal reasons. I know we started a little bit earlier. That was the reason.
Yeah.
And well, I thought that was a thoroughly enjoyable podcast, guys. Yeah, we didn't talk a lot.
It was great fun.
Games industry. Like we normally would. I know we don't talk really in depth about the games because none of us work in it. But I think delving into the cast's like gaming history and a little bit of trivia is just fun. So
yeah. We're gonna have to decide who's next on the list to do it another time.
Well, I would say either Jasm or Cricken, personally. Obviously, like that would be if one of them are willing to take part in a little questionnaire. I could ask even the exact same questions. But with that, I am going to say goodbye.
Yep.
And I am going to assume Doom isn't going to be rude and is also going to say goodbye.
Yep. I'll see you all guys soon, either on the GRcade channel or on my own channel, where I'll be streaming either Skies of Arcadia or Pokemon or something like that. So you should see me Sunday evening-ish, maybe. I should be doing some more Skies. So.
All right. Brilliant.
Awesome.
Right. Last thing, as it is the GRcade Twitchcast, I would like to say go and check out grcade.co.uk and have fun. Bye.
Bye.